War jingle!
Happy time has just begun. Brother, sister, smart, dumb, fun.
Yeah!
It's Groundhog Day. He saw his shadow. 6 more weeks of winter. Duh. Because there's actually, on the calendar, 6 more weeks of winter no matter what he says. Let's go. Let's go.
You know, Duncan and I were talking about it this morning, and he's like, "Do you ever think it was like a big deal?" And I'm like, "No presents. We didn't get school off. It
Nope.
wasn't a real holiday because we didn't have to go to church. There was no presents or candy. It was like it wasn't a holiday. I was like, how is this?" And then I never understood it. I was like, so if he sees his shadow at 6 more weeks of winter, or if he doesn't, and is it what is shorter? What is less winter? How do we get less winter?
And is he gonna shovel my fucking driveway?
Exactly. I was like,
No.
there's no class party. There's no
No
costume.
cupcakes.
Yeah.
No.
I was like,
We didn't dress up as a groundhog. None of that.
what's
no.
gonna
It's
do
like-
what now?
Exactly.
So I was like, how is this a thing when there's nothing good about it? I don't get a groundhog.
I just feel like people are desperate for things to do in February because February just sucks.
It
So they're
does.
like, well, there's Valentine's Day. I'm like, okay, that's great for those that are loved.
I
But for the
You know,
rest of us,
It's
Yeah.
weird. It's like Valentine's Day is like a break. Like you got Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and then it's like, oh well, like we built up all this motivation. We got to stop somehow. So Valentine's Day, and then nothing till July.
pretty much. Well, don't forget St. Patrick's Day because that's the
right.
patron saint of drinking.
I know
So,
it's two holidays I don't give a crap about.
Well, that was the thing.
That's
Like
right.
Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day, Jenny and I had to go to church because those were saint days.
That's right.
So,
yeah, those were holy days of
days of
obligation.
obligation.
Yes.
Did you guys actually have to drive the snakes out of your town? Is that
So yeah, driving snakes out, or
Yeah.
being shot in the heart with an arrow to be
Because
martyred
there's-
for Jesus.
religion is
Oh.
fantastic?
Religion is
It
amazing.
really is. It's it's money and war. Yay religion. Yeah.
Anyway,
get
we
to that.
digress.
We digress.
Yes. So anyway, happy Sunday, everybody. It is Sunday. It is in fact Groundhog's Day. It's February 2nd. And apparently for people that really need to know, Puxatawny Phil did see his shadow today, which means there will be 6 more weeks of winter. Because winter doesn't end until March 21st-ish. So, duh. So you got that going for you. It was cloudy today in southern Michigan, foggy, snowed a little bit. It's just a great day. So awesome. Anyway, as you can see, we have a third today. We have Chip Moehle, entertainment expert, who is our sister from another mister. Welcome. And today, you guys, because we just wanted to talk about Oscar movies that we haven't seen yet. So here we are. That's right. The Oscar pictures were nominated, about a week and a half ago. So we are finally getting around to talking about that. And I make the same vow every year when it comes to the Oscars. I always say I'm going to see all the Best Picture nominees. And that felt more reasonable before they started nominating 10 movies. So back in the old days, they only nominated 5 movies. And I always felt like I could get a handle on that. And now that they do 10 movies, I can never quite get a handle on it because I'm like, now I'm just confused. Which one should I watch? And now the rule for me is, which ones can I stream? Because I don't like going to the movies. So, and it's especially hard with some of these movies are hard to find because they're kind of artsy instead of popular. And as a result of that, they become very difficult to find. So the nice thing is that many of these movies are already streaming. Like a good example of Amelia Perez, which was actually produced by Netflix. So that one you could find that one right away. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to. I was a SAG member for a few years, and you used to be able to take your little card to the movie theater and get a discount on movies so that you could make an educated vote for the SAG Awards. So that was always fun, to be like, hi, SAG card, discount, please. I want to go see this crappy movie that's supposed to be nominated for stuff.
Do I get free popcorn? Because I should get popcorn.
Honestly, that's the most important thing, in my opinion. So there you go.
Yeah.
So it's been a busy week, and it feels very February. We're in that dead of winter, but that's okay. We're here. We're going to talk about movies. Should we jump in?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
Okay.
do it.
All right. Anne, do you want to take us through the synopsis?
Sure. Why not?
Okay, go for it.
Okay.
All right. Hang on.
All right. Thank you very much, Jenny. We're Ann and Janice brothers and Chip Moehle.
Yeah.
We're sisters. Our last name is Brothers. So the Brothers Sisters, no magic required. We have all the magic already in us. We're in our 50s, which means we're Gen X, which also means that no one ever brought us snacks. So no matter what we were doing, we were rehearsing for something, if we were, playing a sport, it didn't matter. It didn't matter if we were outside. You just playing. No snacks were distributed.
So this week, I have a student he's an athlete, and he comes up to me at the beginning of 6 hour. He's like, Miss Brothers, can I please go to the office because my mom brought my snack? I swear to God, 10th grader.
Oh dear.
A 10th grader. Yeah. So of course I let him go get a snack because I'm not going to get in the way of his little whoopee. So it's a little whoopee snack time. I'm like, wow.
Whoopee.
Did he get a yogurt?
Mom.
What, a sucky yogurt and a juice box?
Well, no, it was high in protein. So there was no juice in there, but there was some meat sticks and things like that, some cheeses, some nuts.
Good. Help keep his brain power.
What was it? It was trail mix. He had trail mix, so that was part of his snack. So he literally came back with this big wad of stuff. So I'm glad he was well nourished. He got his snack, and there you go.
There you go. Yeah. So no snacks. No snacks for us.
No, nobody. Can you imagine Cynthia bringing the snacks?
I can't imagine. I think snacking wasn't invented until the 90s anyway. So
I was going to say, I feel like somewhere in the 80s is where the whole orange slices thing started.
Yeah.
And then it kind of grew out of that.
I think so too.
Well, we got there. It didn't happen every game, but when we played soccer, there'd be like certain moms that would bring us oranges at halftime.
Yeah, orange slices.
But there was never any like.
It wasn't
drinks.
Coordinated.
Right.
No, it just sometimes there was like, oh, we have orange slices today. It was like a real treat, and then there was like a water cooler where you could get water, but nobody had like when I coached softball. I was surprised. This is when I was coaching maybe 10, 12 years ago. I was surprised at the spread that took place between games. I mean, when I played softball in high school, you packed your own lunch. If you wanted something to eat between a doubleheader, you packed your own stuff. So maybe maybe somebody brought some Pringles that we could all share, or but mostly it was just a sandwich and maybe a Coke if it was a good week. But like now there's like, God, it's like a freaking old country buffet right there in the yard.
Golden Corral.
It's like Golden Corral. Some mom opens up her SUV and outpours Golden Corral. You're like,
Yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Oh yay, chocolate fountain.
Didn't say.
Oh man, yeah. So no snacks. So if you were a Gen Xer, you did not get snacks. Nobody was concerned about your protein. All right.
No.
We talk about smart stuff, dumb stuff, obviously, and fun stuff, and any combination of the three. We are not cool, hip, or sexy, and we know this because we use our phones to supplement our understanding. So
Yes.
we're like, hey,
Yes.
I don't know what that is. Let me look it up. We're not a true crime, celebrity, or influencer podcast. We're not cool, hip, or sexy enough to be one of those things. So we've been told.
I just wanted to interrupt Anne because it's not just that we look things up on our phone. We have all the apps for like, what's that bug? What's that bird? What's that
What's that
tree?
star?
What's that siren?
What's that? Yes.
What ship is
Yeah.
that? You know, is
What?
the Aurora
Yes.
Borealis coming out? You know, what
I didn't
phase of the
realize
moon
it was
is
Stargazer
it?
app. Yes. So yeah, you know, that's how you know we are not cool, hip, or sexy. I don't have TikTok, but I can tell you where the sun is in the sky at any
Exactly.
point
I
in
can
the
tell
day.
you what phase of the moon is, but I do not know what the TikTok does.
No.
Isn't that a clock? I don't know.
I
Do we
don't
have
know.
clocks anymore?
I thought it was a song by Kesha. Look how hip and cool I am.
Oh,
Yeah,
gee,
ain't ya?
good for you.
Because I just referenced a song that's like 15 years old.
Tick-tock on the clock.
Oh man. All right.
Mhm.
So we're good to listen to when you want to learn things about stuff and you need an excuse to put off getting your tax documents together.
Oh,
You're welcome.
This podcast is not G or PG or even PG-13, fucking A. And
That's right.
you can join us on our website, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. You can like us, follow us, smash the bell, and leave us a review. You can give us your
Smash it.
feedback with our questions and answers and our polls, and you can ask Alexa to play us. See, we're cool enough to know who Alexa is, and she knows who we are, so that does mean we're cool.
It also means that we're not so old that we don't know her name. We're like, I need Alexandra to play me a song, you know. So we don't need the Alexa Silver yet. We're not there yet.
Not yet.
Alamo.
What kids doing? Yeah. So, which is still one of my favorite Saturday Night Live commercials of
Love
all
it.
time.
Me
I love
too.
how
Alexa
everyone
Silver.
exits with or finishes with, I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's right.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. That's right. You can support us for absolutely free. Like us, follow, subscribe, leave a review on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. It's free. All you got to do is hit that button. Tell your people to follow us too, because you want to do some good in the world. If you're wondering in these odd and tumultuous times that we live in, what you can do to do your part, that's what you can do. You can like us, subscribe, you can share us. Then you've done a little thing that's going to make a big thing. Good job, everybody.
Right on.
All right, let's talk about the smart, dumb, and fun stuff that we did or happened to us or that we experienced this week. Chip, we're going to start with you today.
I went today, well, fun was my thing. I went today with my mom and my sister-in-law to Miller Auditorium here in beautiful Kalamazoo, Michigan, and saw
Nice.
The Lion King, the musical, which I've never seen. It's an incredible show. I loved the movie when it came out. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I never have been able to see the stage show. And it was fantastic. I mean, it's kind of an emotional show for me, but the puppetry that's used, the voices, the music, the style of the music, the atmosphere, everything is just really gorgeous. And
That's cool.
and did its job and did it well.
Nice.
Very
Nice.
nice.
Well, I had many things that were good this week. I'll start off with this afternoon. I had a Zoom meeting with my Sturgis High School girls. We call ourselves the Cactus Crew, so that was good. Trying to solve the world's problems 1-2 hour session at a time. So that was good to catch up with everybody. I love you guys. Went and had the best old fashioned in town at the WL Social House. Also had a steak board to celebrate finishing out my my instructional design program, which is still a work in progress, but the actual classroom portion of it is over.
Ooh.
And then on Friday, Joe and I went and saw an ALS shadow show.
Oh.
Which means that it's American Sign Language, and you have 2 interpreters on stage who are shadowing the actors and signing along with it. It was from the Comstock Community Players, their version of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I did not love the musical. The production was actually very well staged, and the interpreters were both outstanding. Christy Hyder, well done. Valerie, I don't know your last name, but you were amazing too. But the play Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, the musical, is not great. It is poorly written.
Oh, that's a shame.
The movie back in the day was really fun, but they basically took the movie and then tried to make it into a musical and had music that was not great. So it was fine. Like I said, the production was the staging of it was good. It was clever, and the ALS ladies were amazing. But yeah, writing matters. That's all I have to say. Writing matters. Yeah, and I did win a door prize. I won a door prize because they had a raffle, and I won a gift card to Target. So even though I'm not supposed to go to Target now because they suck too.
Yeah.
So
Ugh,
I know.
everybody sucks.
everybody sucks. Sorry. Yes. Anyway, and how about you?
Well, mine was fun. I was Duncan and I spent some time with friends today. We had like a brunch lunch date with friends of ours that we met probably about 15 years ago. Really amazing people, Pat and Elliot, that we met because we kept going to the same restaurant. We would go to Beezy's in Ypsilanti almost every like Saturday, and we would see them. We got to talking, and pretty soon we've been on vacation with them. So, sometimes talking to strangers is a good thing. So, it's like 15 years later, and we're still very good friends with them. They're amazing people. We went to this restaurant in Ann Arbor. It's a vegan restaurant called it's on Detroit Street. Duncan, what's the name of that restaurant?
Called the Detroit Filling Station.
Detroit Filling Station. It's a vegan place. It's one of the better. Ann Arbor has a ton of restaurants, but a really poor restaurant scene. If you want to go to a good place, Detroit Filling Station, you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't do vegan. It is amazing good food. So we
Did
went
I go to
there.
that place with you?
I think you have. It's really
Yeah, and it was great.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had a vegan Reuben that was delicious.
Yeah, so the food there is super good. And then we were with really wonderful friends, and it was it's kind of a crappy day and kind of like a dull week. It wasn't a bad week for me, just kind of like, working. It's gray. There was some ice, So this was a nice way to start a new weekend with friends and yummy food. So that was fun.
Hooray.
Amen.
Yes. Yeah, vegan food in the right hands can be really great.
Can be really great. And this
So,
place is
yes.
amazing. I had like a General Tso's chicken, only instead of chicken, it was cauliflower. It was delicious.
Yummy.
And I have enough
Yeah,
for lunch
see?
tomorrow, so I'm very happy. Oh,
Yeah.
also,
In the
it was National Tater Tot Day today.
Some-
And I know they serve tater tots at this restaurant. So we got tater
Where's
tots
ta-
in honor of it.
oh my God.
Tater tots are vegan. They are so vegan. Tater tots are vegan. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So tater tots are vegan. So
That's
there you go.
awesome.
Tater tots.
Okay. Tots. All right,
Mhm.
good. All right, so we're going to talk about the 2025 Best Picture nominees that we saw, and we'll talk a little bit about the ones we didn't see, which was a bunch of them. So yes, there will be spoiler alerts. So if you don't want to know about these movies, don't watch. Or if you'd like to know about some of these movies because you don't want to watch them, but you want to know what happens, this is the time. This is you've come to the right place. So Here we go. All right, let's start with Amelia Perez because Amelia Perez is, in terms of front runners, I guess if you had to pick a front runner right now for Best Picture, it's probably Amelia Perez. I believe they're nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, including Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Actress for Carla Sofia Gascon. So that's, lots of stuff. It won the Golden Palm Award at Cannes, and I believe I think it was Zoe Saldana won an award for her acting in this movie as well. So yeah, lots going on there with this movie. All right, so let's jump into this. Anne, why don't we start with you?
All right. Well, I did see this movie. It's on Netflix if you want to see it yourself. So if you get Netflix, I say watch it. It is a
Watch
foreign language film, just so you know. So if you don't want to read your film, there you go. You can always put on subtitles, but you get so wrapped up in it, you forget that you're reading it. And it's based on what I've seen. I've seen 5 of the films, and based on the 5 that I've seen, I think this should win. It's the most innovative. It takes an old story, and that is getting what you wish for. We have lots of movies where you get what you wish for, and then you live happily ever after. And sometimes we have movies where you get what you wish for, and then you decide that's not really what you need. So this is that story. This is the story where you get what you wish for, and then it goes in a totally new and innovative way. And I wish I could say it follows this plot, but it doesn't. It follows its own. It takes its own path, and that's what makes this movie so interesting. It reminded me a little bit of Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is again just a really old story, mother-daughter relationships. That's the essence of this story. And then it takes it into this crazy, crazy world. That's what Amelia Perez does. Exceptional performance, performances from all of the actresses. It's visually stunning. It's very beautiful. And it's storytelling like this that reminds me that I don't want films written by AI. AI can't write this film. Only humans can write this film. I understand there's been something, I don't know, I haven't really read anything, but something about the main actor, Carla Sofia Gascon. I don't know, something's going on. I think the left or the right is trying to cancel her in some way, shape, or form. I have no idea. I just know that this was
she's trans. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
She's trans.
She's trans. But this was a really, I loved this story. I loved this story. Oh my God. And it's a musical. That's the hilarious thing, is that it's a musical. Only it's like, I've never seen a musical like this, because it's like the musical that's in your head. If you're one of those people that you're like, oh, this would be the musical scene, and it's in my head. It's very cerebral. It's not about it being this showpiece. It's about what's going on in your head and what's going on in the actor's head, and how that would be interpreted if they could say what they wanted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would. Yeah. Yeah. I felt the same way. I was caught by surprise because it is. I don't know. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So for the way that the story goes, the story takes place in Mexico. Zoe Saldana plays an assistant lawyer. She's a young lawyer, and she is unhappy because she has a corrupt boss. She does all the work. He gets all the credit. She's making no money. She's miserable. And she gets this offer from out of the blue, from a man who turns out to be probably Mexico's most renowned drug kingpin, who has decided that he needs a lawyer to start finding him somebody that can, he wants to be a woman. And so he hires her to find him a doctor who's out of the country, who is, this needs to be 100% on the DL. And so, he gets his wish. She finds him, she travels, she finds him a doctor. He goes through this transition and then realizes, here we are 4 years later, we pick up the story. She's now, Zoe Saldana's character is now living in London. He's made her a very rich man. And so he encounters Emilia Perez. That's who she is now. And she basically tells Zoe Saldana's character, I want to go home. I want my children, because he's married and he has 2 young children. And what she realizes is that what she wants her children to be in her life. And so that's where the story continues. And the story also continues because she realizes the damage that she did as a drug lord, and all of the disappeared, as they're called in Mexico, these people that are murdered by the cartels. And she helps start finding these disappeared so that the families can put their loved ones to rest, and so that becomes this character she's trying for redemption with her children. She's trying for redemption in Mexico. And it's, like Ann said, it takes this, I was not expecting that. You're expecting this story to go one way, and then it goes another, and then it goes another way. And Zoe Saldana is excellent because for the first time, especially early in the movie, she just looks rough.
She does. I was like, is that Zoe Saldana? Because I was like, she looks old and tired.
She looks old and tired, and she's unkempt. And we see that transformation after she gets money and she gets out from under all of that. But she does, she really is. I thought was very well cast in this movie. I thought Carla Sofia Gascal was really wonderful. And the one performance I didn't much care for was Selena Gomez's character, but I felt like that could have been anybody. And yeah, I just didn't think she was terribly compelling. But yeah, I really liked it. I think, like I said, people are going to lose their shit, because you're dealing with a trans actor here, and people just can't deal with anything that's outside their little tiny narrow window of humanity. The other thing that's controversial is that most of this movie was actually filmed in France and
not Mexico.
And not in Mexico. And the other is that there's a lot of people in Mexico that do not like the way Mexico is portrayed as this violent place. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I've not spent any time there, so. I think that depends on where you are, but, so yeah, Emilia Perez. Chip?
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm going to apologize to your audience first because of all the movies you've listed here, I've seen one. So basically,
okay.
I'm here to just gush about the movie Wicked.
Yay!
But I will say this, Amelia Perez, and certainly as the LGBTQIA plus member of the Brothers Sisters family, I really should have seen this film by now. But it is on my list. Zoe, and this is the thing, I don't know if she's always had a tilde over her N or not, but lately I've been hearing it pronounced Zoe Saldana. So I'm like, I don't know if this is a new thing or if this is like a John Cougar Mellencamp thing. And, she's actually going back to the correct pronunciation, but she is somebody who I absolutely adore. She's talented. She's gorgeous. When I hear her talk, Shameless, she's smart as a whip. And I look forward to whenever she's in something. So I'm going to stop talking about it there so we can move on to the next thing.
Okay. And the next thing is, now, of course, and we'll talk about the rest of them. So this is one of 10 Best Picture nominees. The other one that Ann and I have seen is Conclave. This is directed by Edward Berger, starring Ray Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, Isabella Rossellini, Carlos Diaz, and Lucien Mesmati. This is on Peacock. I'll start. I'll kick this one off, Ann Brothers.
Sure.
For starters, I thought this movie was great. Super compelling from the very moment. Essentially what happens in this movie is the movie starts with the death of the Pope. And then we go into what happens after a Pope dies. So Ray Fiennes plays what's called the Dean of the Vatican. And so he essentially is in charge of dealing with what happens after the Pope dies. And what happens after the Pope dies is the cardinals all come from around the world to pick a new Pope. And so that's what this movie is about. This movie basically takes you through the politics of a conclave of picking a new Pope. And there's lots of intrigue right off the bat because we're introduced to an American cardinal who's vying to be Pope. We're dealing with an Italian cardinal who's vying to be Pope. We're dealing with a Canadian who's vying to be Pope. And there's all this intrigue right off the bat because the Canadian guy that wants to be Pope was apparently booted by the Pope like the day he died. So, and then he's like, oh, no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. He was just talking about how much he loves me, that sort of thing. And so there's all this intrigue about, we don't want this guy to be Pope because he's too conservative. We don't want this guy to be Pope because he's too liberal. We don't want this guy to be Pope because we don't think he deserves it. We don't want this guy to be Pope because he's African. It just goes the politics of choosing a Pope, which is shockingly compelling. So I would say this movie has some great storytelling. It's very well cast. I thought Ray Fiennes did some awesome work in this movie. And I think, Isabella Rossellini, what a great character she was in the movie. Just understated and so sharp. If you have a thing for Catholic voodoo, like I do, because, once you've been Catholic, it's hard not to be Catholic anymore. There's a lot of voodoo that goes with that. So this movie is for you because there's so much ritual and so much, stuff that goes on in the Catholic Church. It's kind of nuts, but the end of this movie is great. Great. And I'm sure Megyn Kelly did have a fit about it, Chip, because Megyn Kelly sucks. Fuck
she's
her.
A terrible human being.
Yeah, she's a terrible human being. And I thought the end of this movie was super smart and asks a really powerful question about what the Catholic Church is up to and what their mission really is, and they have a history of being horrible, and you won't feel better about the Catholic Church at the end of this by any stretch. So, but I thought it was a well-told story, and I liked it. So, yeah.
I'm just going to jump in real quick. I'm looking forward to seeing this one. And Isabella Rossellini, I have to say, I never found her a particularly interesting actor in the past, with the exception of Death Becomes Her. But recently, it's like she has suddenly grown into this incredible, magnetic actress. I don't know if anybody watched the miniseries about Julia Child, but she plays Julia Child's co-writer. And I was like, this, you could do a whole series about this character with Isabella Rossellini playing this character. Like she has just come into her talent in a very big way. So I'm anxious to see her work in this.
My favorite role of hers is when she plays Jack Donaghy's first wife in 30 Rock.
Yes. I love my
Jack, you know how much I love my beef and cheese.
My beef and cheddar.
My favorite gender.
Duncan and I quote that line all the time.
Yeah, and just to second what you just said, Chip, and I think that's a great example of that. Of like this woman who has spent so many years just being this beautiful, sexy goddess, and here she is, doing this amazing comedic work on 30 Rock, and it's just been, yeah, I would agree that sometimes I think, you get these, and I think part of it is that you get these people that they're these beautiful people when they're young, and they don't get a lot of really interesting stuff.
Yes.
Because they're too beautiful. I'm like, I think Alec Baldwin's a great example of that. You think about, the absolute Greek god he was when he was young, and it wasn't until he got a little bit older that we started to see that he had some amazing comic chops,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anne, what did you think of Conclave?
I thought it's a good film. I mean, it's a compelling story. The cast is superb. It does a very good job of depicting the glacial pace of of Vatican tradition, but it's never boring. I mean, you can tell it's like this group, this organization has been around for thousands of years. So they have some things literally set in stone. So they don't do anything fast, but I thought it was never boring. This could have been a really boring film. And it was not. It was compelling and interesting. It's a great example of a slow burn. So if you're taking a directing class and you want a film that's a slow burn, this is a great example of it. The cinematography is very beautiful. That's part of what makes this movie not boring. Is like, it's so beautiful, so very beautiful.
The music's really good too.
The music it matches the emotions or the drama of the film as it goes.
Right.
It's, again, nice plot twist at the end. Do I think it's Academy Award winning? Yeah, in 2003. But I think, now it's a good story. It's a good film. I don't think it's wrong that it wasn't nominated, but it's not an award-winning movie. So
I'm glad you said that, because I think that's the thing. When I look at the trailers and stuff, I think this reminds me of something Miramax would have put out back in the independent film days.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. And it's totally worth the time and watching it. Totally worth it. But I just don't think it's the best film this year.
Yeah. I found myself comparing it to the movie Women Talking. And that movie is much better than this one. And I really liked this movie, but I loved that movie.
Yeah.
And this one, yeah. Anyway. Because this one's dudes talking. That one's women talking. Look at me.
Yeah, and this is pretty much dudes talking the entire time.
It's pretty much dudes talking. Yep. So,
which is kind of the Catholic Church. So.
Oh exactly. Yes, it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the end, Isabel. In the end, it's Isabella Rossellini's character that has something to say
really
when she finally says it.
Oh.
Yeah, and when she says it, everybody's like, oh.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, because we all know it, but we haven't said it out loud, so we don't have to know it because it hasn't been said. And she finally comes out and just says it, and they're like, "Oh, well, now that it's been now that it's out loud, we have to behave differently. We got to
do something about this." Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, good stuff. Okay, Conclave. Next up, The Substance. Anne, would you like to talk about this one?
Sure. This one's on Prime right now. You have to pay for it, but I think it's only like $5.
I think there's something called Mubi or Tubi or something that it's on.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you are correct. Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley. Thank you. Yeah. And Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid is so gross in this movie.
That tracks.
So that's The Substance. This film is brutal. The only movie that I've seen it's more brutal is Requiem to a Dream. That's the only movie I've ever seen that's more brutal than this one. Exactly. Holy shit. This movie is not subtle. Everything about it is supposed to be visceral. Everything.
Yeah.
So you will feel sick to your stomach for an hour and 45 minutes. It is a hard, visceral film. Somebody asked me, because they asked me like, hey, have you seen this? Does it have an assault in it? And I said, the whole movie is an assault. The whole movie is an assault on women. It doesn't have a happy ending. There is no redemption. No lessons are learned. This film is not for the faint of heart. You can never unsee it. it's okay to skip this one. But once again, AI could never create this story without turning it into pornography. So, this is, if I hadn't seen Amelia Perez, I would say that The Substance should probably win Best Picture.
Whoa. And this is considered now, The Substance is considered a horror flick. This is actually one of the
Body,
few horror
body
flicks
horror.
that's
Yeah.
been that's
it is a
nominated
horror
for an
movie.
Oscar. So wow.
So
Oof.
if you don't, you remember, Jenny, when I told you that that you should see what is it, Hereditary?
Yeah.
This
you
movie
did
is
tell me that.
harder than Hereditary.
See, and that's why I look at see, I don't have the stomach for it. I don't have the stomach to see Heredity, and I'm not seeing this fucking movie. No fucking way. Well, no, because I read the synopsis of it. And I was like, oh, fuck me. No, yeah, okay, yeah. No.
Now, having said that, the performances are exceptional. Both of these women should win Oscars for their performances. They are.
Well, I know Demi Moore was nominated. I don't think
I don't think Margaret
the young
got a
woman.
nomination.
No,
That's
she did not
mad
get.
because they should both win Oscars for. I'm not sure. I'm not sure this film should win Best Picture because the ending kind of shit the bed a little bit, I thought. But I think these women and their performances were. I don't think anybody did any better this year, from what I've seen.
Well, I was actually really glad to see Demi Moore get a nomination. I think I've always liked her. I know there's people have very mixed opinions of her, but no, I've always kind of considered her to be sort of a Hollywood survivor. So especially for women, that's to be in your 60s and be where she is in Hollywood. That's no small thing.
And this commentary is all about aging in Hollywood. That's what this movie.
Absolutely.
This movie's about aging, women aging, period. But really specifically, women aging in Hollywood.
Well, can I? Because I've only read the synopsis, but just the idea of it, and I'll just say, spoiler alert. That you have this thing that splits you into two entities. But I just thought, as reading it, I was like, here we are, also pitting women against women. Ultimately, it is about aging, but it's also about that. Is that true?
Yes, it is. It totally is. Only it's so diabolical because you're suddenly competing with yourself.
Okay.
That's what makes it so diabolical, is that not only are you competing against every other woman in Hollywood, all of a sudden you're competing against yourself, and yourself is sabotaging yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. There's no safe port. There's no safe place. You're not even safe with yourself.
Well, and
Ooh, that's some deep shit right there.
Margaret Qualley is Andy McDowell's daughter.
Right.
And the first time I saw her, she was there was a TV show about Bob Fosse and Gwen Verdon that was very uninteresting, but she was in it and she played Anne Reinking, and she was probably the most interesting thing about that. And I thought, we got to see more of this girl. She's so good. And Demi Moore, since I saw her the first time on General Hospital, after Luke and Laura, when Laura left the show and they brought in two women to replace her, and one of them was Demi Moore. And it was like, who is this gorgeous woman who holds your attention, has this beautiful voice, and why is she on a soap opera? And then St. Elmo's Fire, and then movie after movie, and then, and then she was, I can't think of the right word. She was driven. She wanted to be a movie star, and quite frankly,
you're looking for is punished. She was punished.
Well, that's
for
where
that.
I'm going to get to that in a minute.
Yeah,
but that she was driven to have a huge career and be a respected actress, and that ultimately in doing that was sabotaged and brought down. I mean, of course, she did make a trio of movies that were not terrific all in a row, but that still doesn't take away from her talent. But that's the way Hollywood works, is, once you're down, you're down. And so I thought it was great that for a while she was taking these smaller roles in independent films and was still out there, still had a voice, but just not as big a one. So it's nice to see this happen for her. I mean, when she did the little comeback in Charlie's Angels, it was like, see, like she still has it. It's still there. And I loved her speech at the Golden Globes about how she was told that she was just a popcorn actress and that she was not destined to ever win awards. She wasn't that kind of actress. And I loved her calling that out, and I love the fact that it's absolutely the truth.
Yeah, and she should definitely win for this role. She 100%.
Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, it was
Damn it! Now I'm probably going to see this.
oh Jenny. Oof,
Oh
oof.
boy, I'll have to
I
watch
know
it
that's
during
why
the
I'm like,
day.
I'm glad it's streamable because I know that I can stop it and watch Mary Poppins for a few minutes and
I'm like, I shall go and for a walk and look at something
yeah,
lighthearted and beautiful.
I'm gonna go pet puppies and yeah.
I have to watch a bunch of kitten videos.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't like kitten videos? I swear. All right. Okay. Next up, we have Wicked.
Wicked, wicked.
This one is directed by John M. Chu, starring Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, Jonathan Bailey, Ethan Slater, Michelle Yeoh, Jeff Goldblum, Peter Dinklage, Bowen Yang. You can watch it on Fandango, and
Of course, you can still watch it on Prime too. You know, you can buy it.
you can watch it on Prime. I think you could probably still see it in the theaters. It's probably still playing in many
probably.
theaters.
I believe so.
This is part one. There will be a part two, which is disappointing. I really just wanted it to be a part one, but gotta go get that money. Go get that money. And frankly, I'm curious to see what they do with the part two. So good job there. I'm motivated.
Yeah.
Chip, why don't we hear from you?
So yeah, first of all, I don't understand why John M. Chu wasn't nominated for director.
I know, right? Good Lord.
There is no reason that should not have happened. The direction of this film is beautiful, gorgeous, brilliant. I mean, he's done some new things with it. I truly don't understand. It's a travesty. And that's all I have to say about that. Ariana Grande, so many people were surprised by her. I really wasn't. I mean, if you've watched her at all in the last 10 years, you know that she's a talented individual. You know that she has comedy chops because she's a Disney kid. And, quite frankly, she pulled off a very funny, tender, and present performance. There's so many ad libs that are hers that are funny as hell. And that's all I have to say about that. And Cynthia Erivo is just absolute magic. I mean, there's nothing that she cannot do. Just nothing she can't do. She wears her emotions on her sleeve, and she makes great use of her beautiful voice. And what I loved was when I would listen to the songs, the early songs, I was like, she sings them differently than she sings the later songs. Like, she has put so much thought into this character that many people would have just not bothered. You would just go and sing the song. But her voice in the beginning is lighter and girlish, and her voice later is heavier and world-weary and more adult. And I can't wait to see what that voice does into the second film, because it's a much darker film, and it has some of the more darker songs in it, and they're not that easy to pull off. So it's going to be interesting to see how people feel about part two, because it's going to be a very different movie, very different tone than the first picture. All the performances in this film are wonderful. I think I mentioned on our other podcast that I was concerned about Jeff Goldblum, and I was concerned about Michelle Yeoh. Both talented people who I thought, I don't know if they're quite right. But Michelle Yeoh nails that thing. When she finally turns around with that look on her face and she claps her hands at the flying monkeys and tells them that if they know what's best for their families, they'll do. You're like, oh my God, I am frightened of this woman, and the way that Jeff Goldblum uses the subtlety of his face to go from being sort of this aw shucks father figure to a dictator is just astounding. And I think people, because it's a musical and because it's so popular and because it's The Wizard of Oz, will overlook this film and will overlook these performances. And I think that's a shame. It's a prestige film, but it's also an entertaining film. It has a great message, but it also has enjoyment to it. And I think a lot of people don't, they look at that like that's not a real film. And I'm like, it is a real film. Mm-hmm. It pulled emotions out of people. It pulled emotions out of people who didn't expect to have emotions pulled out of them. So, Agreed. Wicked is fucking marvelous, and I'm glad it was nominated. But John Chu being overlooked was a huge mistake on the part of the Academy.
Well, and that's one of the things that irritates me is that we're going to nominate all these movies, but we're not going to expand the director category to include, like these movies, these really excellent movies do not direct themselves.
I was just to say, I always loved the year that Prince of Tides was up, and Billy Crystal in that year said to Barbara Streisand, like he was singing a song, and he was like, "Did this movie direct itself?" You know?
Yeah, and it's like, if you can expand to have, I just feel like, hey, if your movie gets nominated, you get nominated right along with it. I think that's the way it should be, because I'm like, the directors guide the movies, the directors set the tone for the movies, everything that's happening.
Yeah,
exactly. And so, and no, I would totally agree that has to change, because there's lots of reasons that these directors are being excluded, and it's not right. So, I really like this movie. I've seen the stage production. I think the stage production's good, but boy, I liked this so much better than the stage production, because it brings everything to life in the way that you can't do in a two-dimensional stage setting. The close-ups and the dancing and the way the camera finds its way into the songs. And I just really thought it was dynamic. It was interesting. It's gorgeous. You can't take your eyes off of it. And I felt like there's just this depth of understanding of Oz itself. Just the geography of Oz is a character in this movie, in a way that you can't get from the play. I thought Ariana Grande was great. I just think she's funny. I think she's a funny kid anyway. I've always loved her work on Saturday Night Live. Cynthia Erivo is Elphaba. I know everybody freaks out because you have
Idina Menzel.
I know. Here's the thing. I can never not hear Adim, the John Travolta,
Adele
Dazeem from when John Travolta slaughters her name during the Golden Globes that one year or whatever. But yeah, so but I really felt like I'll remember Elphaba. I'll remember Cynthia Erivo's Elphaba because of how great she is. I mean, she's just
the tear that runs down her eye in that one scene when she winks, that one little wink, which was also an ad lib, was an improvisation. Were just these beautiful, beautiful moments.
I think her and Ariana Grande have excellent chemistry when they're on stage, when they're on screen together. I think they really, it's just I was surprised how much I enjoyed it, and I was super disappointed at the end. I didn't vocalize it like all the little Girl Scouts that were in front of me, but and I knew it was going to be over. I knew it was going to be, but I feel like he cut it at just the right spot. It's like to be continued, and it was just kind of like.
I know. I want more. I'm ready for more. I just sat through 3 hours and I could still go through more.
I could still go through it. So and it didn't feel like, there's a lot of 3-hour movies that you're like, there's a lot of 2-hour movies that you're like, I've been in this movie for 4 hours, and it's like, oh, it's only 30 minutes in. What movie were we watching? Oh yeah. I'm like, oh, this movie still has an hour.
Does this movie ever end?
The Dune movie. Dune 2, the first Dune. Sorry, we're going to talk about that right now. Anyway, let's talk about Dune Part 2. Speaking of Dune Part 2.
I'm not sure why, but it's been nominated.
Directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, who only gets one name, or she gets one name.
Oh, she only needs one name.
She only needs one name, my bad. Florence Pugh, Javier Bardem, Christopher Walken. It's on Netflix. Wait, is there going to be a part 3?
Yeah, there's talk.
I think they're trying to do all the books. Yeah.
Yeah. There's
okay, fine.
Part 3.
All right.
I think by then
I'll start with this one. I hated the first one. I just don't get it. I made it about a half hour into Dune Part 2 because I felt like I should watch it for the show, and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I gave up after about 30 minutes. And part of it is that I just don't really care for the story. I'm not compelled by the story at all. It's yet another overly orchestrated sci-fi fantasy story that's convoluted and stuff and this thing. Yeah, and I think it took me 2 days or 3 days to watch the first one because I kept having to quit. and go do anything else.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh look, I need to go wash my toilet. Yay! Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah, the special effects are pretty cool. Yeah. And I mean, Timothy Chalamet is kind of the flavor of the year right now. He has been for a couple of years, and I get that. He's adorable. But he's much better in a comedic role. He's way more fun when he's doing funny stuff, and he can pull it off too. He's actually got some comedic chops as well. But he gets getting cast as these like, and I've heard he's very good as Bob Dylan. I probably won't go see that because I've never been super interested in that particular story. But yeah, I don't know. And
it's a really pretty movie to look at if you want to look at some pretty movie. But let's be honest, it's a desert. So after like 20 minutes, you're like, okay, yeah, cool. Okay, cool. It is the story is boring, and I don't understand why we're still making this story. Why are we still making a white savior movie? Like here we have this downtrodden place with this local population of indigenous people who can't help themselves until a teenage white boy comes in and saves the day. And it's funny that it's such a convoluted storyline, this whole world, this convoluted world that they made, when they have such a simplistic storyline, which is white savior saves the brown people, from other bad white people. He's a good white people. I am so sick and I'm so sick of this story. I'm so sick of men telling this story. You know who could write the story? AI. You know why? Because a bunch of stories are already like it and it learns from itself. So it's like, oh, this is what people want. They want a white savior. Here we go. Oh, only this time it's in an ocean. Oh, here's a jungle. I mean, this was happens to me.
Desert planet.
Oh, geez,
so I'm like, how can something be so convoluted and yet so simplistic? It's boring. As you guys have already said, film is boring, I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I don't even know how long the first movie was. I'm pretty sure it was 10 hours. Pretty sure.
Yeah,
I was like, why did this get nominated? Why? Because it's pretty.
Because it's a spectacle. Chip, your thoughts?
Well, I didn't see it. But I will say this. I saw the first one and bleh. I was so bored. It was like a nap with a bad dream. Back when I lived in LA, I would go to see movies based on their length during the summer, because when it's 90 to 100 degrees and you don't have air conditioning, you find the longest movie and you go to the longest movie. So this would have been a good one for that. Didn't mean that I ever watched the movie. I sometimes napped through them or just snacked. This would have been
that's what I did during Gladiator 2. I took a nap.
Yep. But yeah, I thought the first one was even my brother, I remember afterwards, we were like, was that terrible? That was terrible, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. It was terrible. And I thought, well, the thing about it, the only redeeming thing for me was that it seemed to set up a lot. So I thought the second movie should be very interesting. But by the time they released it, I thought, I just don't care.
Mm-hmm. It felt like it took a long time for them to come out with a second movie.
Yeah,
so
it was like these things that wait a year, even Wicked, like shouldn't wait a year. It should have been 6 months, 8 months, not a year. Like I realize you want to put it in your fourth quarter so that you can show huge profits for your fourth quarter, but honest to Christ, don't make us wait a year between your stupid movies. Marvel doesn't do that, and they put out a movie every 2 weeks. And of course, they've had to pull back because that's also a stupid way of releasing movies. But it's like, don't wait a year for this bullshit. I mean, we watch television, we binge television. Mm-hmm. We're used to jumping right from the cliffhanger to the next episode. Mm-hmm. So making us wait a year between films has got to be the stupidest agenda that I can ever think of.
Of course, if you want to make us wait for the next 30 years before Dune 3, I'm perfectly okay with that.
Absolutely, because by then AI will write it.
Yeah. I thought AI already had. So
yes.
Yeah. Don't understand. I don't know. I thought since you had a penis, you could explain it to me, but since because I was like, I must need it because Jenny. Okay, this is how much after I saw the first movie, I was like, what am I missing? So I fucking read the book.
Oh dear.
Oh, girl. Really?
I did.
How is that?
Yeah, that's how it is.
Same.
Man, I was like, oh, I didn't miss anything. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. So there you go.
Yeah,
I'm just glad Gladiator 2 didn't get nominated for a Best Picture. I'm really glad about
Which
that.
I actually find that shocking that it didn't because
Well, yeah, because they had Dune 2. They got to nominate. We got to nominate one of them. All right, Dune 2. Pulled one out of the hat. Dune 2 it is.
I thought maybe they just flipped the coin.
I do like that they've opened it up to 10 nominations. But I do think that 10's a little too much. Like 8, 7 might be a better number.
Yeah.
Because a few things slide in there that you're like enjoyable, but not award
Not
winning.
Oscar worthy. Yeah. So these are the list of the best of the rest. These are the other Oscar contenders that we haven't seen yet for various reasons. That would be A Complete Unknown, which is the Bob Dylan story, again starring our boy Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. So, who else is in that? What's his name?
Yeah,
Edward Norton.
that guy, Edward Norton.
who has also been nominated for Timothée Chalamet was nominated for Complete Unknown, as was Edward Norton for Best Supporting Actor. Nickel Boys, which is on Prime. I am not familiar with that story.
Me either.
It is a hard story. It is a very hard story. Colin Whitehead is the author of the book, and it's about a couple of boys who end up during Jim Crow South era, end up in a juvenile detention center.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's going.
So uplifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so uplifting. Yes. The movie I'm Still Here, which is in theaters now. I am not familiar with this movie. Anne, can you tell me
This
anything?
is about the Brazilian takeover, the coup that happened in Brazil in the.
Oh, that's right. And her husband ends up. Yeah. He gets he disappeared.
Also,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So much uplifting stuff.
Yeah, that's the other thing about Academy nominations are that it's like, just because it's a heavy topic doesn't mean that it's award winning.
Right.
Okay.
And again, I'm Still Here is also a foreign language film. So.
Okay. Okay. Anora, which is on Fandango, and Anne, you were saying that this is sort of the foreign language version of Pretty Woman.
It's the Gen Z version of Pretty Woman.
Nice. Okay.
The actress who's in it is on one of my favorite TV shows that's called Better Things.
Mm-hmm.
And she plays the oldest daughter on that show. And it's funny because in the first season you think this actress isn't very good. And then when you get to the second season, you realize just how good she is. It's just that she was so good in the first season that you were like, you wanted her to shut up because she was playing the character so perfectly. So I would be anxious to let this get some buzz so that hopefully she gets more work.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Cool. Of all the movies that I haven't seen, I'm the most curious about this one.
We have The Brutalist, which is in theaters now, which is a fictional story of a I can't think of what nationality architect, Hungarian. I don't know. Adrian Brody. The barrier for me in this movie is that it is 3.5 hours long.
Oof.
Yeah, if I'm going to sit in the theater for 3.5 hours, there better be a buffet. Okay, we're going back to the. I would like the Old Country buffet to be this movie shown in an Old Country buffet so that I can visit the chocolate fountain as many times as I would like. So,
yeah.
Well, it's like Adrian Brody pops up every 10 years just to remind us he's an actor.
Right. Yeah, I saw the trailer for this and I was like, "Ooh, I will not be seeing this."
Well,
yeah, and that dude drives me nuts. I do not enjoy him as an actor at all.
Not my favorite either.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of cringy. I've never liked him since he laid one on Halle Berry at the Oscars. I'm like, just fuck that guy, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest, I added a real pain here, even though it's not a best film nomination, just because it's up for writing and for supporting actor. And I like both Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. And I'm anxious to see this one, and it is available on Hulu.
Okay,
nice.
Two cousins go after I think it's their aunt who was a survivor of the concentration camps passes, and they go back to sort of explore that area, but it's not. It sounds heavy, but it's also the one character is kind of fucked up and funny. So,
Cool.
It sounds like a more interesting exploration of that type of a trope, I guess.
All right. Nice.
Mhm.
Whew, that was some serious business right there. We have talked for we are at our hour. So
Okay.
yeah.
And I just
done.
quickly want to say, don't forget to look up the Razzie nominations.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to have those because they always come out the day before the Oscar noms. I was a presenter at the Razzies for 3 years. It's a blast. They're always terrible. Sylvester Stallone is almost always nominated because the head of the Razzies just doesn't like him and doesn't think that he's talented.
Well, and he kind of sucks. So there you go.
There you go.
I got to meet the guy who directed Showgirls because it was that year and he came and accepted his award. And somewhere in my papers, I actually have his crib notes for his speech. But I wanted to meet him, so I got up and there were all these people and I literally jumped over the chairs so that I could get to him and then thanked him for letting us beat him up basically.
Yes.
very great.
That's awesome. I'm trying to look up real quick to see who's nominated for this year's Razzies. Let me see here. Looks like Joker 2 is the front runner this year.
Yeah,
for
I
the
think
Razzies.
so.
So yeah. So the worst picture: Borderlands, Joker 2, Madam Web, Megalopolis, and Reagan. Worst actor is Jack Black for Dear Santa, Zachary Levi for Harold and the Purple Crayon, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, Dennis Quaid for Reagan, Jerry Seinfeld for Unfrosted. Yeah, that movie was bad.
Well, and I just want to say the Razzies began as a result of the movie Can't Stop the Music, starring the Village People and Bruce Jenner. That was the impetus. That and Xanadu were the impetus for beginning the Razzies.
Xanadu. Okay. Wow. Woo. Worst actress: Cate Blanchett for Borderlands, Lady Gaga for Joker, Bryce Dallas Howard for Argyle, Dakota Johnson for Madam Web, and Jennifer Lopez for Atlas. Yeah. Okay.
Damn.
That sounds
Awesome.
that sounds
We have some commentary. We got commentary.
Oh.
We have Annette May with us. I saw The Brutalist today. Okay, Annette, what'd you think? We'll wait for her response while we talk about our next
Was it
stuff.
brutal?
So, was it in fact brutal? Yep. So anyway, you guys, you've survived yet another hour with your brother sisters talking about smart, dumb stuff, some fun stuff in there. We talked about the upcoming Oscars, some of the nominees that we saw, some of them that we didn't see, some of them that we will not see. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
And again, you guys, we would love to hear from you. Annette, thanks for chiming in with us. We'd love to hear with you, answer our questions, polls, give us your questions, concerns, comments.
Confessions.
Confessions of movies that you didn't think were Oscar movies that you really liked or you thought. I'm trying to think if there's one Oscar movie that I've seen that everybody saw and was like, "Oh, it's amazing," and I thought sucked. I'm going to think of
I just want to say quick that Anne, your guy got nominated for Sing Sing.
Oh yes, because I'm very sad that movie did not get nominated for Best Picture.
Well, and
But I was very glad to see that he got nominated for Best Actor.
Yeah, I was upset because there was really no wide release for that film. Like I could not find that film on this side of the state to save my life.
Yeah, no, I ended up seeing
that's
it.
not surprising.
I saw it with Annette, who just chimed in. I saw it with Annette, and it was a
Nice.
beautiful, beautiful film. Again,
Lovely.
it's based on a true story, but again, why we don't want AI writing our movies? So
Yeah, truth.
Mhm.
Truth. Remember, you can support us for absolutely free. All you got to do is like us, follow, subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Like us, share us with your friends. Let us know. All right. Looks like Annette got back to us. She said The Brutalist was brutal. Brutalist architecture is cool, though. Okay. That's right.
There you go.
Annette, hopefully you brought snacks with you while you saw the 3.5-hour movie. I know I'm a grown woman. I should be able to sit through a 3.5-hour movie and not. But sometimes,
Not anymore.
Ugh.
We're used to
Yeah,
being at home and
exactly.
watching 10 hours of a series and snacking.
There you go. And I can do whatever I want and stop if I want to, if things get to be too much. Go. Got it. Join us next week, you guys. We're going to start, and Anne, I'm expanding it. Not only are we going to talk about roller derby, next week it is Super Bowl Sunday. So we are going to sports it up. Yo, let's go.
Oh, that's right. There's footballs next week.
No,
It's
it's
not just footballs. It's
it's a
the football.
concert.
That's a
it's a concert that's sandwiched between sportsy ball things.
Some
that's
sports.
true. Now, who is it this year? Is it? I don't remember. Who is it this year?
I don't even remember because
Oh,
it
now I
didn't
have
seem
to
that
know.
interesting.
Oh,
I know. Who's playing the Super Bowls? Playing. Okay, here we go. Who is playing at the Super Bowl this year? It is. I don't want to know that. Who's halftime?
I was gonna say halftime.
There we go. Halftime.
That's what.
No, who's sorry?
Oh, it's Kendrick Lamar. Oh, that's why. Okay. It's Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. Eh.
Yeah,
All right. So
yeah.
footballs.
Football. So yes. Anyway, we will be talking about more than anything. We will be talking about roller derby for sure. But I do want to talk a little bit about just sportsing in general. I have taken a very cynical view of professional sports lately, and that's perfect because we can talk about the awesomeness of things like roller derby and not so professional sports. So yes. So there you go. So that's what we were going to be up to next week. So you guys, I guess I'll start up the music and let's get out of here. All right, hang on. I got to find it.
I'm looking forward to hearing about roller derby.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Roller derby is so fun, Chip. It's the funnest.
It's the funnest. So that's right. Until next week when we talk about roller derby, I'm Janice Brothers. With me is my sister and brothers. And our sister from another mister, Chip Moehle. That's right. So we want you guys to get out there, do something smart, do something dumb, do something fun. We are out of here.